The movie begins with Seo Yeon arrives in her childhood village to visit her sick mother. She is picked up by Seong Ho, a strawberry farmer who supplies her family. Since Seo Yeon left her phone on the train, Seong Ho allows her to use his phone. But she refuses, believing there is a landline at home she can use. Soon after, Seo Yeon enters the house, and as she is tidying up her room, she finds an unused landline. She activates it and uses it to call her lost phone. Someone picks up her call, but she is reluctant to return it without getting anything in return, and ends their conversation. When Seo Yeon uses the laptop to do some tracking, she also receives a call from a strange woman. The woman complains about her mother being insane, but she quickly hangs up when she realizes she called the wrong number, thinking it's her friend Seon Hee. The next day, Seo Yeon talks to the doctor who treated her mother's illness. The mother has a brain tumor and must undergo surgery as soon as possible at a larger hospital. Seo Yeon then sits down with her mother, trying to reconcile despite their troubled relationship. The mother asks her to check with the cemetery manager whether she should be buried with or next to her father. Hearing this, Seo Yeon becomes angry and leaves, visiting the grave of her father who died in 1999. After returning home, she receives a call from the strange woman who had the wrong number earlier. She keeps assuming Seo Yeon is Seon Hee, asking her to come to her house and claiming that her mother is going to kill her. However, Seo Yeon insists that she had the wrong number, causing the strange woman to hang up in disbelief. When Seo Yeon sees an electricity document, she is shocked to realize that the address the strange woman mentioned is her home address. That night, she is woken up by a loud noise, so she goes to investigate and finds a family photo that has fallen. When she decides to hammer in a new nail, the wall sounds hollow, forcing her to break it down, revealing a hidden room. Without thinking much, she enters the basement, only to find a cardboard box. Inside, there are some old things, but what she takes is a diary containing notes about an exorcism, as well as a photo of a woman from 1999. The next day, Seong Ho tells her that the woman in the photo is Young Suk, the daughter of a shaman, confirming that Seo Yeon's house was indeed a shaman's house in the 90s. On her way home, Seo Yeon sees the woman the strange woman tried to contact, Sun Hee, contemplating in front of her shop. Seo Yeon again gets a call from the strange woman, who screams for her help, and that's when we see the young woman being dragged to the basement by her mother, leaving the landline lying on the floor. The mother tries to perform an exorcism with fire on her, but the young woman fights back. At the same time, Seo Yeon sees smoke coming out of the basement, with the stairs burning. The next day in a phone conversation, Seo Yeon assumes that the strange woman is Young Suk, so she tells her about the photo of her taken in 1999. But the woman claims that the year is now. Thus, Seo Yeon realizes that she is talking to someone from the past, who is Young Suk, living in the same house with her stepmother. To reassure the skeptical Young Suk, Seo Yeon looks up the news on the internet and then informs her that there will be a plane crash that year. Confused, Young Suk decides to end their conversation for the day. That night in Young Suk's reality, the stepmother compares her to her real mother, who has a mental illness, causing Young Suk to become angry and eat hastily. At that moment, the TV news reports a plane crash, confirming Seo Yeon's prediction. Soon after dinner, Young Suk calls Seo Yeon and they catch up. They are both 28 years old, and Seo Yeon learns that Seo Taiji is Young Suk's favorite singer. Since then, they become close and share information from their respective years, where Young Suk learns that in 2019, smartphones have been used. In addition to Young Suk sharing about her stepmother who locked her up in the house because she thought she was born with a brutal, atrocious fate, Young Suk also tells her that her real mother has died, prompting Seo Yeon to reveal that she lost her father in a house fire. A few days later in Young Suk's reality, little Seo Yeon and her parents visit the house, planning to buy it. Guided by the stepmother, Seo Yeon's family checks out everything in the house, and that's when Young Suk meets little Seo Yeon, who is frightened when she sees her. Young Suk quickly contacts the present Seo Yeon, secretly letting her hear the voice of her father, who is still alive in that year. Tears immediately flow down her cheeks, prompting the sad woman to hatch a dark plan with Young Suk. Reaching the day Seo Yeon's father died, Young Suk managed to escape from home while her stepmother is feeding the chickens. She quickly ran down the street to Seo Yeon's previous address, while the present Seo Yeon anxiously waited for news from her. When her mother left the house with the stove on, little Seo Yeon is playing pranks on her sleeping father. Without hesitation, Young Suk sneaked into their house and turned off the stove, saving Seo Yeon's father from death. In the present, Seo Yeon witnessed with her own eyes how her reality is rearranged. She immediately ran into the greenhouse and is moved when she met her father, who is still alive. After that, Seo Yeon told Young Suk about the changes in reality that occurred in her time, sending Young Suk into awe and great pride. In return, Seo Yeon played her favorite singer's latest song, letting Young Suk record it with her Walkman. Thus, They are now friends. Young Suk even gave Seo Yeon a time capsule containing her favorite jelly. However, Seo Yeon became busy with her happy family and ignored Young Suk's calls. One night, when Young Suk called Seo Yeon, she is caught by her stepmother. The stepmother took over the phone and warned Seo Yeon to stop calling Young Suk if she doesn't want to get hurt. Unbeknownst to her, the stepmother had taken Young Suk to the basement and performed an exorcism on her. Young Suk screamed in pain as the stepmother whipped her repeatedly, then recited a spell after Young Suk fell and had a seizure. Soon, the stepmother had a vision of how Young Suk became the cause of several deaths in the future. The next day, Seo Yeon begins to search for more information about Young Suk on the internet, while the stepmother visits Sun Hee at her shop and finds out that her left leg is injured. At the same time, Seo Yeon finds out about Young Suk's murder by her stepmother during an exorcism. When Young Suk calls her, she tells her the information, giving her a chance to fight back. Meanwhile, the stepmother takes her dagger from the aquarium and enters Young Suk's room, thinking that she is sleeping. She then stabs the dagger into the bed repeatedly, but soon realizes that Young Suk is not there. At that moment, the door to the room suddenly closes, and Young Suk appears behind her, cursing her evil deeds. She grabs a fire extinguisher and sprays it on her stepmother's face, while Seo Yeon anxiously waits for news. When the stepmother collapses due to difficulty breathing, Young Suk insistently demands an explanation from her, but she is unable to say anything. Infuriated, Young Suk stabs her in the stomach with a dagger, ending her life instantly. Afterwards, she calls Seo Yeon to lie that everything is fine, suggesting that she and her stepmother simply had a misunderstanding. The next day, Young Suk manages to get out of the house without fear of punishment. She celebrates her newfound freedom by treating herself to delicious food and buying new clothes. Meanwhile, in the present, Seong-ho is warmly welcomed by Seo Yeon's family when he sends her a supply of strawberries, in contrast to Young Suk, who treats him rudely. Young Suk invites him inside and tells him to wait, while she goes to try on new clothes in her room. When Song-ho intends to put the strawberries in the refrigerator, he smells a bad smell and finds many black plastic bags, and that's when he notices that the plastic bags contain human organs. He is scared, and what worse, Young Suk catches him. In the present, Seo Yeon's family is enjoying strawberries while chatting with Seong-ho. When the landline rings, Seo Yeon goes to her room to answer it. A scared man's voice is heard on the phone, and it's quiet after a loud crash, until Young Suk hangs up. At that moment, Seo Yeon sees the strawberry stain on her clothes disappear, so she rushes downstairs and finds Seong-ho is also gone. She asks her parents where Song-ho is, but they don't even know who Seong-ho is. She runs to the strawberry farm, only to find it has been out of business for a long time. She asks the police where the strawberry farmer went, and that's when she finds out that Seong-ho died 20 years ago. The officer shows her a notebook containing details of Seong-ho's murder by Young Suk, convincing Seo Yeon that her reality has changed again. In the past, Young Suk is also approached by two police officers who are collecting witness statements regarding Seong-ho's disappearance. However, Young Suk claims not to know Seong-ho and tells them that her stepmother left after receiving strawberries from him. Meanwhile, in the present, Seo Yeon decides to talk to Sun Hee, who tells her that Young Suk is a friend who is willing to listen to her complaints about her alcoholic father. She also expresses her gratitude to Young Suk's stepmother for helping her treat her leg injury. After returning home, Seo Yeon talks to Young Suk, suggesting that the murder case she committed has been published in the newspaper with a life sentence. Knowing this, Young Suk becomes frustrated, so she asks Seo Yeon to help her find out what evidence the police have found, in return for saving her father. However, Seo Yeon immediately ends their conversation and unplugs the landline from the connection cable. When Young Suk is upset because her call is not answered, she hears that there are guests coming, so she goes to the front door to check and meets little Seo Yeon with her father. They were supposed to meet her stepmother at the realtor's office, but she didn't show up. Young Suk lets them in, pretending that her stepmother is sleeping. Meanwhile, in the present, Seo Yeon is on a road trip with her father. The father sees her isn't enthusiastic, so he pulls over, intending to teach her how to drive. While little Seo Yeon and her father wait in the living room, Young Suk comes with a fire extinguisher and sprays it in the man's face and kills him. In an instant, his death affects the present reality, where Seo Yeon desperately tries to stop her father from fading away, but to no avail. He's gone. Seo Yeon quickly runs to her messy and dirty house, and that's when she finds Young Suk's writing on the floor, telling her to pick up the phone. She obeys, and gets the same order from Young Suk, which is to find out what evidence the police have found. If she refuses, the safety of little Seo Yeon and her mother is at risk. Soon after, Seo Yeon searches for all the news about Young Suk on the internet while formulating her own plan. After successfully gathering all the information, she tells Young Suk that the main evidence is a bloody knife that holds her fingerprints, which was found by a junk collector. In order to get the knife, Seo-yeon instructs her to go to a wrong address, intending to trap her into a gas explosion that will occur in a few hours. Without raising any suspicion, Young-suk goes to the address, leaving little Seo-yeon alone. Upon arrival, Young-suk enters a house and waits for the junk collector to arrive. She goes out to check on the noise and finds 3 puppies in a cage while the electricity is short-circuiting. A moment later, the gas cylinder explodes just as Young-suk is about to go back inside. Seo-yeon feels relieved, thinking her plan has worked. But it doesn't. Young-suk is safe. She calls her immediately after returning home. Out of revenge, Young-suk pours hot water on little Seo-yeon, which instantly causes pain and scars the present Seo-yeon. Young-suk tells her that her mother will also be coming to her house, and reminds her of one thing she has forgotten, that the cause of her father's death was herself. Seo-yeon was the one who turned on the stove when her mother was away while her father was sleeping. With no other choice, Seo-yeon breaks into the police station to open some notebooks, and then tells Young-suk who found the knife. Young-suk immediately met the person and took the knife, and at that moment, the notes in the notebook changed into a report about the disappearance of little Seo-yeon, reported by her mother. Without realizing it, she had created the worst reality, where Young-suk was never arrested by the police because the main evidence had been destroyed. And that is when we saw Young-suk present communicating with the younger version of herself. And that house is still Young-suk's house. In the past, the junior officer decided to accompany little Seo-yeon's mother to search Young-suk's house, while Seo-yeon present sneaked into Young-suk's house to look for a landline. After finding nothing, the mother borrowed a landline to call her husband, but instead she is connected to Seo-yeon present. She urged her to leave, but their conversation is interrupted by Young-suk present, who hit Seo-yeon unconscious. In the past, Young-suk killed a junior officer, prompting the mother to flee with the landline. Just as in the present, Seo-yeon fights with Young-suk over the landline. Seo-yeon manages to grab it and locks herself in a room, just like the mother. They talk on the phone, where Seo-yeon tells the mother to arm herself. She grabs a fire extinguisher and removes the pin. While Young-suk present has managed to make a hole in the door, the mother finds little Seo-yeon tied up near the stairs, but then Young-suk attacks her and throws her back into the room. Just as both Young-suk is about to kill both Seo-yeon, the mother pushes Young-suk down to the floor, rendering her unconscious, and Young-suk present disappears from Seo-yeon's sight. They are safe. After that, Seo-yeon runs to the hospital to look for her mother, but she is not there. She goes to her father's grave and starts crying over everything that happened. At that moment, her mother comes to comfort her, putting a happy smile on her face. Yes, she's still alive, which is great. However, this isn't the end of it. In the next second, we see the previous scene where Young-suk present talks to Young-suk past, telling her that the junior officer came with the mother. Young-suk past regains consciousness after falling to the ground floor, and Seo-yeon present's mother disappears from existence, creating a new reality, where Seo-yeon is Young-suk's hostage until now. The movie ends here,